done so much for me, I cannot tell it all. If I had 10,000 tongues, it still wouldn't be enough. Tuku Nagwama really, when you hear completely. Chuku Marobi Mo, if he can you lay, we sing What shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done so very much for me.
Come on, everybody.
What shall I render to Jehovah?
Hey.
For he has done so very much for me. Nara, 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 eh. Narekele, narekele mo. We sing Nara, 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 eh. Narekele, narekele mo. Narekele, what shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done. What shall I render to Jehovah?
Right, hello, good morning and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. It's a Tuesday, the 27th day of July 2021. By His grace, we are live and we're here with yet another edition of this show. Our gratitude will go to the Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making the rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly. But let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic, Fitch ratings, economy fastest growing, president. Rate 2 hospitals for efficiency, urologist. Don't beat war drums, Liberian vice president cautions. Libya, OIF, congratulate Ghana. Ghanaian Times, as the economy rebounds amid COVID-19, Ghana to be fastest growing economy in Africa, president. Pastor wife allegedly murdered at Haiti Kope. TUC calls for public sector salaries commission to advise government. Fight against COVID-19. Government earmarks $25 million seed money for establishment of National Vaccine Institute. Daily Guide. John Morrow, Canada, NDC MPs in trouble. Chief beats in court Queen Mother over funeral donation. Nana outlines vaccine plan, 18 million doses coming. Ghana Immigration Service makes big wee haul. Nanabi starts children's ward project on 40th birthday. The New Crusading Guide. Akufo-Addo charges SOEs to target profit and efficient output. Adopt practical measures to improve education, Dr. Educhum. Policy rates kept unchanged at 13.5%. Government pledges to rebuild 5.4 kilometers road leading to Tanker Park at Tor. Hassan Tampuli supports farmers in Gushegu with tractors. The Insight. Widespread anger among public sector workers as some employees receive as low as 8 cedis following 4% increment announced by government. Ghana's public debt stock rises to 332.4 billion Ghana cedis. Teenage pregnancy, Birim North records rising cases in schools. Okay, minority says Akufo-Addo has lost control of the economy. The Inquisitor, peddling of falsehoods, AOMC rebels in mischief. 10 key things in anti-LGBTQI plus bill before Parliament. Customs shine at Betoy collection point. Commander Encho rewarded. Nanabi cat sought for 30-bed children's ward on 40th birthday. Coming up, Health Minister in fresh trouble. The Daily Statesman. Managers of SOEs taken to task over accountability and good corporate governance. Government to rebuild Valco roundabout Tor Road. University of Ghana gets first female vice chancellor. TV3 apologizes to a Greek minister of a fertilizer report. Daily Post. Ghana's economic indicators worse today than when we were declared HIPIC. Dr. Atufosin. Mahama visits Muslim clerics. We are still awaiting government action on the 5 containers of rosewoods impounded at the Tema Port. Dr. Clementa Park. Business and Financial Times. Bank of Ghana keeps policy rate over increasing debt stock and inflation. InvestCorp eHub launched to enhance client services. 47 public enterprises failed to submit financials to government in 6 years. Oforiata. Operate profitably and contribute to recovery efforts. President charges SOEs. Digitizing the economy, the role of people and culture. CSOs in Agri call for lower usage of fertilizer to protect environment. And that's about it. For the front pages, we'll be back shortly.
Did you know that cloth handkerchief gets dirty and wet after wiping your sweat or blowing your nose with it? Keeping a dirty handkerchief in your pocket or bag is very unhygienic. Reusing it increases your chances of getting sick from germs. That is why I always use Flora disposable handkerchief. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is disposable, thus making it a more hygienic option. It's thick and very absorbent. With 10 tissues in a pack, Flora disposable handkerchief is better than a cloth handkerchief. The Flora toilet roll, Flora multi-purpose paper towels, Flora table napkins, and Flora box tissues in a shop near you. For both purchases, call Delta Paper Mail on 0243 033 033.
Obia Isis AC, Tresse, it will gold-plated things. Yet the copper pipes pa pebinaye. Gasia, and for how Biam Rodas and Ibia, and a goom. And yet the day, Tansu of 4-in-1 filter system. 80 from a free mubano. Aye kroje. AC, yet the horsepower neto. Isis Cassa a 2.5. Aye 2.5. Kululu pianim. Yet the Abapiamo. Aye high sense AC super promo. Date near 26 July. Akobim 8 August 2021. Upe Asia Efe. Na chili. Na power. Aye high sense AC. Comfort to me. 26 July. Akobim 8 August. Madam Hisense. Matiti Susu. 5 years warranty. Adasutia. Hisense and Kwan to me as amount. Hisense. Everyday prices for everyday people.
Are you tired as a consumer in Ghana when it comes to issues that confront you as a consumer? Worry no more. Coffee Capital. I'm here to give you the information, all that you need to make sure that your right is protected as a consumer. We have too many laws and agencies that should protect the right of the consumer. I'm here to give you the information that will help and assist you to get goods and services delivered to you without any worries. Watch the Capital Show on Metro TV.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning is a legal practitioner who has a picture which is really getting a lot of hits.
Propaganda.
You know, a lot of hits.
Propaganda.
Godwin Edruji Tamaklo is here with me on the show. Council, good morning.
Randy, good morning.
How was your trip to Cape Coast yesterday?
Well, not
He has to look for the documents. The judge said he should bring the documents.
not as we expected, but at least there was some middle ground. So we would take steps to do a few things. Yes, and yeah, I'm surprised that you wanted to start the conversation with mischief. Randy, at least we've come far.
At least the judges
I've just seen I've seen a few photographs that are the talk of town. I mean,
Is it the one lawyer consulting clients?
yes, something like that. I don't know who was consulting who, but
I don't know.
there was some consultation going on.
Propaganda.
Also with me on the show
I'm
this morning.
surprised Ferguson and his mischievous bands have decided to go to town.
It says this is just the beginning. You'll be serializing a lot more of the photos, so be prepared. Also with me on the show this morning is a former Deputy Minister of Health and a former MP for Lejokuku, Dr. Okoboy Bernard. Good morning, Doc.
Manche.
Okay.
Be an
How's
ephobia.
Kumasi Asantiko?
Be an ephobia.
Oh,
Manche. Oh, Vinci.
Your man is confused. He doesn't know the team that.
is that a Kotoko supporter?
Oh, back to me house. Ni no kuba. Ni makotoko. Oh, baby, ni ale. It's a mba.
Okay, Haseko.
Manche. Ni phobia win. Ni no so wan. Well, mo fi amo ele. Mi se yo James Anoyi. Oja ni ku se.
Energy, did you hear him?
Oh,
Oh no, how? But I need to congratulate the people behind RTU, at least for helping them.
years.
Yes, after 8 years, in helping them back into the. I mean, it was at the very last.
I think they were, for those who believe in destiny, you probably say they were destined to, because it was Buffer Quest to lose.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact,
They just had to win to go through.
Dr. Baumia to support them a lot.
Yeah, he did.
In fact, I'm happy about the economic activity. You know, the stadium was virtually asleep. The one
They were playing Division 1 games there, but of course,
Yeah.
I mean,
This
the
one
Premier
is,
games. I mean,
attracts a lot
for 8 years, they perhaps have not watched RTU playing against Hearts or Kotoko,
and even to
the
see
big
Kotoko
teams.
players,
Yes.
to see House of Folk.
At least they had the opportunity, I think 3 or 4 years ago. The FA Cup final was played there. The Hearts and Kotoko, the 3-1.
Yeah.
You know, but at least Premier football is back.
Yes.
And I hope that they would take full advantage of it.
In fact, when Magdan completes the Teshi Sports Complex, we intend to host either Phobia or, but you've not finished. Phobia, we've not finished with
The Pobima.
Yes. So
They will be
at
done
least
soon.
they can operate from Teshi.
They will be done soon.
But until they finish,
Yes.
Teshi will host them.
Oh, but they will finish before your Teshi Park.
Oh, Magdan is watching. He's very serious on finishing this thing quickly.
Dambot is at Dambot is Nungwa.
Yeah, Dambot is no, we will not. Either Olympics, Phobia.
Olympics trains
Or-
at Magdan Park La.
No, but La is small compared to the Teshi's own.
Teshi is bigger.
Yeah, Teshi is bigger.
Oh,
Yeah, Teshi is bigger. So we intend to relocate them.
okay.
It depends on how quick we finish it. So I'm talking to Magdan.
Okay.
And your man, Coleman.
Yes.
I pitch him as we you can't tell one alley. So far, so good.
I see. What's this thing about a vaccine institute? $25 million for a vaccine institute. What's that? We're going to learn about vaccines or teach about vaccines.
Well, let me take the opportunity to thank you and my brother, Council Edward. I'm happy that the judges told them at least that when they go to the Electoral Commission, they will get some of the documents. In fact, I'm following the case keenly and supporting the legal team with some research. So far, so good. Andy, I think one major
who says Rolling Stone at Okobo and Hassan Kotoko. Wow.
Greetings to Syria. She believe what he has. Yeah, you know, the president's address at 26th, right, they take away about 3 main ones. The first one is that whether it's Delta variant or it's Beta variant, the mask helps. So I'm happy that at least the two of us were wearing masks. And because Randy is the landlord here, he decided not to wear. Agbenyega keeps on talking about you not wearing the mask. But let me move on.
Professor.
Yes. So the first one is the mask wearing. We would like to take this opportunity to plead with everyone. When you step out, wear the mask. In fact, in your office, it's even important to wear the mask because your colleague, you don't know where he was or she was yesterday. So don't assume that you are more or less in quote family just because you work in the same office. The other one is that funerals and weddings can take place, but please, receptions are not allowed. And there's good reason. Our experience in Ghana has taught us that going for a funeral in the open or wedding in the open comes with low risk of getting the virus. But it is those who go subsequent to the occasion, go and sit in either closed spaces to wine and dine. It's not really about the numbers. You can be 3 or 4. Once someone has the virus, you easily get it because you don't eat through your mask, you drop it. So the information or education is that get your takeaway and go home. Avoid sitting in groups, whether small or big or large, to try and eat. It comes with talking and all that, and that has shown to be a very good platform for spreading the virus.
You waited to finish all your big funerals in the Eastern Ashanti region.
Oh, manche. Now. The point is that if you go for a funeral, I was at a funeral the weekend. It was an open outdoor. I was in my mask. Our experience has shown us, Randy, that although you are meeting people, the risk is low. The risk increases immediately you go, sit, drop your mask and start eating and drinking. So that is the point I wanted to make. And then we come to your vaccine, National Vaccine Institute. The purpose of this institute is to coordinate the activities of all relevant bodies to make sure that in the medium to long term, Ghana can, 1, develop vaccines, and then 2, produce or manufacture. There are two different things, to develop the vaccine and to manufacture. But immediately what they are doing now in the short term is to work with private sector to make sure that we are able to do Randy fill and finish. Fill and finish means that they will bring some components of the
South African visa.
Exactly.
Corroborate.
South Africa is doing fill and finish for Johnson & Johnson. Now they've signed an agreement with Pfizer to do Moderna and Pfizer too. So we have some 2-3 companies in Ghana who are almost at the place, about 80-90% with the capacity to do fill and finish. And it helps. Once you do fill and finish, you are able to get access to the vaccines. So this is very, very important. And the government intends to support with some seed money, about $25 million. I'm happy because...
Is that what the 25 million is for? Fill and finish?
No. I'm saying that the National Vaccine Institute will be started with that seed money. But I'm talking about the activities they are engaging in.
What is I want to understand what the Vaccine Institute is. What is it?
Oh,
what is it supposed to do?
So it's supposed to coordinate the activities of state agencies like Noguchi, the West African Center for Infectious that's Professor Wandari's organization. And not only to partner, but also to regulate and supervise. You know, all these institutions are in their own silos, like FDA. FDA does a lot of job in vaccine assessment, dossier review, and all that. If they coordinate with Noguchi, who do genomic sequencing to look at viral types and all that, and then we get some labs, because the institute, there are
what
some.
I want to understand from you, Doc, is
their job is to make sure we can produce vaccines.
Why why we need a new bureaucracy.
Oh,
that's what I want to understand.
Honestly, as we speak, we don't have a body that would steer us carefully to a point where we can produce vaccines. We don't have. We don't have one.
We don't have one.
Yes.
Is it to suggest that, for example, we cannot expand on the objectives of, let's say, Noguchi to do same?
No, Noguchi on their own. You know, people forget Noguchi is more or less a research institution with their terms of reference or job description were cut out. Mm-hmm. But they don't. In fact, they don't have the how do you call it? Is it the mandate to be on a course where they will develop? You need some.
No, that's why I asked.
Yeah.
Is it to suggest that we cannot expand on the mandate of Noguchi?
Well,
to enable them perform that, since they are already
yeah.
into the research, can't we expand Noguchi's mandate and put in that money there?
Yeah, I get you. You know, but the
I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah,
because I
you can
you
go
know, I
ahead.
have a difficulty. It looks like we have a penchant for creating bureaucracies. Anytime we're just interested in creating those things. That's why I want to understand.
No, I get your concern. You know, the institute would not necessarily make sure that government is the one to invest in development and production. They are supposed to be more or less like the chief advisor or mediator to facilitate our ability to develop and produce vaccines. So if you have the institute, they can work with Noguchi and maybe even another partner to make sure that we are able to quickly put in the infrastructure to develop the
I'm still not convinced from what you're telling me.
Yeah.
I'm still not convinced that we cannot expand the mandate of Noguchi.
All right, it's a route. It's one of the routes.
So it's a choice.
This
is a preferred choice of government.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to get Noguchi to come to the point where they can, one, develop vaccines, two, manufacture, and three, coordinate the activities of others, you need significant investment. Now, you also risk redefining what they do. They are a research institution. So once you put them on this path, at the end of the day, it will be a different Noguchi. It will just be like creating another organization.
When we had COVID, we relied on Noguchi to do all the testing and all those things for us because of the capacity that Noguchi had. When we wanted to do this airport thing, we relied on Noguchi, although the money went to Nigeria. We relied on them to do that. And I'm sure that you heard the argument here, and still it was the issue of, that was government's option. That's the option government chose. Because the argument was that, couldn't we have put in some money into Noguchi to enable Noguchi do that? Because for the life of me, for example, I cannot appreciate why we will, for example, say that, for the sake of COVID, we're going to spend 200 million Ghana cedis to give free water. Money that perhaps you will not get back directly. And then when there is maybe a small investment, say $5 million, to put in the airport thing, I'm not saying that's how much it costs, to put in the airport thing, and end up making 17 million cedis every quarter, we rather shy away from that and leave that space to a private individual to come and make that money. Same is this thing about the bureaucracy I'm talking about. If you have 25 million to put in as seed money for something like that, can't you put it into Noguchi and expand Noguchi's mandate? But you're saying that, yes, that could be a route, but this is also another route. Go and set up a new bureaucracy to deal specifically with these issues and coordinate Noguchi and the others.
When you call it a bureaucracy, the connotation or the impression can be a little negative. But remember that sometimes an organization can actually fast track or facilitate the process of reaching an objective, and that's what we intend to do. At least I'm happy we have the same, we agree on the objective, which is to build local capacity and to build. It's the roots that we disagree. As for that, It's difficult to have everybody agreeing on a route. So the take home or take away is that Ghana is investing in our people and setting up a body to make sure that we don't only look for vaccines to use, but we start from somewhere. And remember, the Gamaleya Institute in Russia that developed this Sputnik vaccine, they got $5 billion from Orogov in the Middle East, an entity that is into investments. Even with those who have already established, they needed $5 billion. That tells you that for one product, going into vaccine development and manufacturing is not that easy. But you must start from somewhere. So at least let's appreciate the start. It's in our crisis that we have to look for opportunities and challenge ourselves. So Andy, and I'm also happy to mention that when we started this pandemic, we didn't have the cold chain infrastructure to deal with vaccines that require very cold temperatures, like the Pfizer vaccine. But today, with the support of UPS, the postal supply chain company, and Zipline is already here. They've also brought it. They had already, but they've added a few of their infrastructure. And Cosmos Energy. Now we have the cold chain infrastructure, especially in Accra and Kumasi, to handle the Pfizer ones. And we are hoping the U.S. government, through COVAX, intends to give us a 1.2 or 3 million of the Pfizer.
Of the Pfizer?
Yes.
So this is week 16 of those who took the AstraZeneca. But it's about 600,000 of people who have one dose.
Yes.
We are now talking about Pfizer. What about their second dose?
Oh, Randy, it's not like we've stopped pushing for the AstraZeneca. There are genuine difficulties with the supply situation. So we...
See, the truth of the matter is that every vaccine that we've had has been vaccine that was given to us for free. When we try to go and buy one, we all know it's still in Parliament. I will not bother you.
My chair, why are we here? Why are we here? So what I'm saying is that we expect to.
No, but seriously, for those who have the because I get people calling me all the time. You know that look, I've taken my one dose, and some of them even get frightened now when they hear that. Oh, even people who've taken the double shot are contracting the virus again and all that. I mean,
and my message to them is direct: that please, we as a country honestly don't manufacture the vaccines. We try to source it from elsewhere, either through partnerships, like you said, where we don't necessarily pay, maybe only pay for handling.
We don't pay, don't say necessarily.
The Johnson & Johnson, 17 million. But why are he?
Huh?
17 million.
Which 17?
Johnson & Johnson. We placed order for 17 million.
We've placed an order?
And we've paid, there's been some commitment to the Africa.
Who is supplying?
African Medicine Supply Platform. It's a platform.
Oh yeah, but we are part of that platform.
But we, and I'm saying
some money.
Yes.
Yeah, so they will get it and bring it. That's a single dose. I'm asking you brought AstraZeneca.
Okay, let's go to AstraZeneca.
You put it live on TV.
Yes.
With Adowa dancers and everything.
So it should have been a post, it shouldn't have been a live.
And you said that 8 weeks. All the other countries were doing 12 weeks. You will do 8 weeks. And you touted whatever made it possible for Ghana to see. Just hold on. 8 weeks is gone past. You reviewed it to 12 weeks.
Yes.
12 weeks is gone past. They are 16 weeks. They don't even know.
Okay, so
when they will get it. And we are now speaking about Pfizer. Obviously, Pfizer will be for a new set of people. Not about the 600,000 who are on the first dose of AstraZeneca.
Randy, the message to all those who are waiting for their second dose is this. Number one, still hold dearly the protocols. I'm saying so because vaccines reduce your risk, but it doesn't take you out of getting the disease. Number two, government is committed to getting you the second dose. And as we speak, like the president mentioned in his speech, 249,000 doses of AstraZeneca is expected. We expect that number from the UK government. I mean, bilateral talks have gone on, and we in fact we wanted to get it directly, but they prefer to give it to us through the COVAX platform. That should happen in the next maximum. We are looking at a month of August, or maybe first, second week.
You are still giving timelines.
No. In this quarter, the talk, the president mentioned this third quarter, because sometimes you get the wind that, you might get it second week in August, you might get it third week. So to play safe, we are hoping that within this quarter we can get them the second dose. And by the way, if you've got your first shot, you still benefit from a second shot, even if.
When you say this quarter, it means from now till September.
Yes, from now to September. And but we don't want to give dates, but our signals are strong that it will not necessarily be in September or end of September. We might get it sooner for the AstraZeneca. But what they should do around there again, I think it's important. Even if you get this second dose, whether 15 weeks, 20 weeks, the benefit is still very significant. And I'm happy you yourself are saying some have had 2 doses and yet they got COVID. The message is that vaccines help to reduce your risk. They don't 100% shield you from getting an infection. So still wear your mask. And secondly, it's worth going for the vaccines, because if you even get an infection, your chance of falling severely ill goes down. Should you fall severely ill, your chance of death goes down. So the benefits are there, and we'll work hard to get the vaccines.
Yes, Randy, the issues about our National Vaccine Institute. Immediately I heard the president made the comment about putting up a seed money of 25 million. And like Randy, you rightly asked my friend, Dr. Okoboy, if we have the capacity to generate $25 million for a National Vaccine Institute, and looking at the work Noguchi does, more or less molecular biology, trying to understand, like he pointed out, the sequencing of some of these issues. It relates more importantly to the core mandate of Noguchi. And so, to my mind, if we have the capacity to raise $25 million for a new National Vaccine Institute, why not broaden the mandate of Noguchi that already has a certain infrastructure in place, the skill set required in place, so that we do not have the situation of starting all over again. You recall there is this, I don't know whether they are into malaria more, at Dodowa, that research facility near the Dodowa.
Is it Kintapura that you want to see?
No, there is one at Dodowa where the 120-bed hospital.
Okay, the site.
Yes, exactly. They are also into some of this research, so that we do not now start the game all over. Randy, the challenge I have with this conversation is how we have managed this whole issue of COVID-19. Look, the question about even this Delta variant, from all indication, it came to Ghana around December, when we were all busily campaigning, and decided to let go of the COVID protocols. Today we are once again overwhelmed, and we are basically engaged in rhetoric. Look, you recall in the midst of COVID, exactly a year ago, we said we were going to build the Agenda 88 hospitals. Randy, you are broadly read.
Is it not? We are now gone past 88.
We even made it.
It's agenda 1.
No, I'm coming. At least, if you have not been able to count 9, you go to 10. You relax. So, from 88...
a lot of our viewers are complaining about your continuous use of gun program because a lot of them also don't understand.
Yeah.
They want to understand what you're saying.
But Randy, like I pointed out, in the midst of COVID, we came with Agenda 88, then elevated the conversation even more in the MPP 2020 manifesto, and now made it 10 something or 111.
111.
Yes. Now, a year after these bold announcements, it is turning out to be only for political showmanship, because these 88 hospitals, nothing serious had happened relative to the announcements. The last time I checked, we have been told that it is getting difficult getting sites in certain communities or districts. And so that is what has delayed the takeoff. My good friend Dr. Kobo, his own place, La, when these things happen, a site was cleared. So let's even use La as a case study. There is no problem with land. The land is available. Now, why can't we start? Let nobody come and say that, look, it has taken us this long time, possibly putting formalities in place, and that is what has delayed. Remember that this 88 hospital projects is actually in the 2016 MPP manifesto. 4 years had passed, nothing. So, for instance, it cannot even be suggested, even remotely, that the processes of putting in place procurement issues, funding issues, among other things, is the cause of the delay. Because these are campaign messages in the 2016 MPP manifesto that you have not done. So, propagandists, spin doctors of the MPP must first acknowledge the abysmal failure in putting up the needed health infrastructure in this whole fight against COVID. I have always said, if we have not had the benefits of the University of Ghana Medical Center, if we've not had the benefits of the health infrastructure put in place by the Mills Mahama administration, when COVID came, where would we be? What would have been the state of affairs? Randy, look at the prominent men and women who had the benefit of being at the University of Ghana Medical Center to receive treatment when COVID came. So at all times, you just need visionary leaders to be able to anticipate that anything can happen at any time. That the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia administration had failed woefully. In fact, when it comes to health infrastructure, in the Fourth Republic, we have basically been lacking. It is just talk, showmanship, and nothing more, nothing substantial. And significantly, my brother here was a deputy minister in that sector. Doc, you recall, even most of the polyclinics that within the past 4 years we've been attempting to complete were all projects that funding sources were procured by the Mahama administration. And the record is there. When Parliament approves of a loan transaction, the record is always available. And I recall some of the polyclinics in Chifopraso and all of those places, just to ensure that when pandemics like this come, our people will have the facilities that they can reach out to. You see, Randy, and it saddens me to make this point. Look, Noguchi and their staffs in the midst of COVID, when COVID came, in the serious ends of COVID, we relied on the men and women at Noguchi to hold the fort. Before other private institutions in Kumasi and others started or joined the fight relative to the testing regime. I saw a video those days of Noguchi staffs basically taking samples and making sure that people at the end of the day will get their test results within the time limited for that exercise. When the opportunity came for us to make something little within this COVID regime, what did the president do? He got his Nigerian friend awarded a contract.
Do you know for sure?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Benny Peters is a personal friend of President Akufo-Addo. Today, Benny Peters' company, Frontier Services, has made close to $32 million out of travelers using our airports. $32 million. And we are going to use $25 million for a national vaccine institute. What infrastructure did Frontier Health Service put in place at the airport to warrant that extortion? First of all, they use staff from Noguchi.
For the initial setup.
No, but that is what it is. Even before they started, Frontier Health Service had no experience whatsoever in delivering that service. But President Akufo-Addo made it possible for $150 to be paid per passenger to his friend, Benny Peters. And today, his company is making, with the exception of the little $5 or so that is paid to Ghana Airport Company, the rest of the money is going into a private pocket. Classic case of create, loot, and share. If we have the capacity to generate $32 million, we could have generated the same amount of money for Noguchi, if not for anything, as reward for the staffs of Noguchi when the crisis or the pandemic happened. But what did President Akufo-Addo, when he had the opportunity, what did he do? He created a private initiative for his friend, his Nigerian friend, Benedict Peters. I mean, how can you be wicked to your own fellow countrymen? And you see, now we are now going to look for $25 million outside or wherever to now go and set up a national vaccine institute when we could have generated that money rather than giving it to a private individual, politically connected. We should not do this thing to ourselves. So even in the midst of a pandemic, we are seeking to profit from it. Randy, even what is even more shocking is this whole business that has come about with our vaccine purchase and its associated matters. The parliamentary inquiry into this vaccine purchase had opened some of us our eyes to the things that are going on in this government. Randy, you know my client is in Insawan prison.
NCA.
And their crime is that
Procurement breaches.
Oh, I'm coming.
The judges allow the client to go.
I'm coming.
We'll still be in town.
I'm coming. Maybe when patients want to die, they may as well go with their doctors.
And they are going to do now. So when you see them together, do like one family, one goes, the other stays in
town. So
town.
when the doctor goes to the patients, encourages.
Sometimes we don't
But that's on the lighter note. But you see, Randy, let's look at this NCA matter, and I want to situate it with this conversation. The prosecution case is that, look, yes, it's true, you have purchased the Pegasus. We can see it. But you had no approval of the board. And so you have willfully caused financial loss to the state.
Because you didn't follow due process.
Yes. And I recall, under cross-examination, the investigator asked him, is it your case that the Pegasus was inflated, the price? He said no. And I said, it is no, because you have no comparative basis. Because you see, Pegasus is not something you buy off the shelf. You need to go. And so I then asked him that you knew that the then National Security Coordinator, may he so rest in peace, Joshua Chemi, actually went to NSO Group just to be sure that they supplied the item. You did all this? He said yes. But at the end of the day, the judge said, look, the fact that there was no board approval, even though the matter was considered by a subcommittee of the board, it was enough to establish the mens rea against them, that they were willful. And so they are in prison. Today, our health minister has the courage to tell a parliamentary committee that he bought those vaccines without his own cabinet. And remember, the health minister is even a member of cabinet approval. And that parliament approval, nothing. Even the government's own principal legal advisor, his advice came even after the contract was entered into.
Are you sending a message to the health minister?
No, I am just saying. You see, Randy, you recall there was a time I came here and we used this account word.
No,
I shall answer. Today, others are in prison. The Pegasus is still with government of Ghana.
I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, that even in the judgment, I think with the exception of the board chair, the judge even made it clear that for the others, it's about breach of the...
That's all.
Yes.
In fact, the basis of the causing financial loss was the fact that there was no board approval. Nothing more, nothing else. And they are in prison. You had, as a minister, you had no approval whatsoever. And you still went ahead.
I think even the Opunese Edo Agongo case is also on the basis of procedure.
In fact, almost all the causing financial loss charges against former NDC appointees are all built around this conversation. one approval or PPA, lack of PPA approval, lack of this, like the NCA, also the issue of lack of PPA approval and all of those. Even when it was submitted to the court that these are national security matters, blah, 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 still, the court said the lack of it is enough to ground the offense. Today, our health minister has the courage to say that he was confused, for want of better word, and that he had to do all those things. I have always told my friends in the MPP that they must always watch out. Recently, I met a senior party elder in some issue, and he told me an interesting story. You know the then affordable housing project that started under President Kufuor. How an audit was done, and the audit report came. I think Hakman Uswajima. You know the company called Sikelele Paints?
Yes.
Good. By the time the project will even finish, they had already paid in advance for paints, among other things. When the report went to Professor Mills, he said they should go look for money to complete the project. And that's what Ghanaians are interested in. They need housing. With all these glaring matters today, it is most shocking that you can have a minister of health who, for all intent and purpose, is an accountant.
A chartered one.
Yes. A seasoned, chartered accountant with many years experience. Not only that, having chaired the Public Accounts Committee, has a better understanding of public accounts. Where are we today, Randy? I will not go so much into the mess that has been created. Randy, we should all know, and maybe I'll dovetail this one into this conversation, the urgent need for the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration to do a comprehensive audit of our COVID-related expenses. You saw the recent expose, I don't know whether revelation, by the ranking member on foreign affairs, the Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, on the issue of airlifting within the African region relative to Ghanaians coming back to Ghana. The fact that Parliament has been informed that over 50-something million Ghana cedis had been expended. However, when the Minister of Foreign Affairs had to answer urgent questions from MPs, she then related about 20-something million, with a shortfall of almost 26 or so million Ghana cedis. Look at the amount of money we claim we expended on giving free water, the hot meals, among other things. It is in the interest of the Bawumia Akufo-Addo administration to let us know the real expenses. It has been, remotely suggested that one of the reasons for the quote-unquote removal of Mr. Domelevo as the Auditor General, I call it constructive dismissal of Mr. Domelevo, is the fear of an audit into COVID-related expenses. Because you see, I don't understand how President Akufo-Addo in one breath will say you are 60 quote unquote, go on retirement and appoint a 77-year-old man to head Yoko.
What are you talking about?
Which one?
77-year-old man.
Yes, the current Yoko boss.
The police commissioner.
No, he's gone.
Oh, he's left.
They are bringing a new man, one Ado.
He's 77.
77.
Oh, you mean he's older than the president?
77.
What am I doing?
So the point I'm making is that. Oh, why? Why are you trying to force?
I just told you you are doing
well. Are you serious about this?
Yes.
Again, have you seen the appointment letter?
Oku, what are you talking about? It's online.
Oh, but you know, in these days of Randy, you know.
No, is this something you've heard, Oku?
I've also heard, but
the current local boss, 77 years.
Hey,
we have to check that. Well, anyway, I don't know.
Well, let's take a break. We'll back shortly.
Okay.
Take us out.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
HD logo the bottom. Where you say HD local channels na mo hedo. And so pictures here clear. E 5 times better. As other channels that go be show hormone. So when I mention my tram rack why. Oh, what the pictures.
Who knows tomorrow?
What a picture. What do AD plus decoder or multi TV and now Electroland agent PR natural local channels now HD mu the here so better
Star 879 hash.
numbers from Kubu box and now the activate AD channels now. Look at
Get an HD Plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bosso Philippines zone. Promo lasts from 7 June to 9th August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana Live on Metro TV shows, brought to you in kind partnership with X Natural Mineral Water. Still with me on the show, I have Godwin Eduji Tamaklo and Dr. Ukoboy Bernard.
Manche, I've written quite a lot. You know, I nearly got lost because
the appointment of the 77-year-old, I've had confirmation of it. It's actually been
but
announced.
as the appointment state is age, there is 77.
Yes, 77.
Okay,
apparently, he was a special advisor to then KK Amwa.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, he's a legal practitioner.
All right. And so, Eduji has gone round. In fact, the issues, he's had a cocktail of the issues, but we'll try and address them. For January 1, let me say that I was privileged to sit in some of the meetings on behalf of my, former, when I was deputy minister. And I can say here that a lot of work has gone into the entire project. Randy, when it comes to how do you call it? Raising the structure. Sometimes the fact that you've not seen block work doesn't mean that there's nothing happening. We, across the country, as we speak, about 90% of all the relevant documentation on the sites have been secured. Beyond that, I also know that, remember, this is actually being handled from, I think, the office of the Chief of Staff from the Presidency as a special project. And I am also aware that the Public Procurement Agent, the PPA, has worked closely with the Chief of Staff's office to help guide the award of, how do you call it, the project to some contractors and all that. So as we speak, there are some who have gotten letters that allow them to access the sites, to look at the geography and all that. I will not be surprised if very soon in this year we have the sword cutting of the entire project. Remember, you have one projects, that's quite a lot, and we will definitely start from somewhere. So some work have been done, like I said, but obviously it is when there is digging and some excavation before people go like, oh really, the work has started. I remember when we commissioned, we cut sort for the Ekumfi, the pineapple, the juice factory. I remember one of my brothers went there and said, the place is all we do with grass cutters and things having a field day. But by the grace of God, with time, the whole thing came up. So sometimes...
You mean the Lawan?
No. The way he's saying that the Lawan, there's nothing happening. It's the same way that...
Because the Lawan, some people saw grass cutter there.
Grass cutter in Accra, yes. It's likely to be a rat and not a grass cutter.
Rat. But the rat must have
right.
eaten a lot.
The point I'm making is that I remember those who went to a Ekumfi and were in a hurry within just months.
Let me ask a question. You're a politician. Let me ask a question. Just last week, there are these reports about the Eastern Regional Hospital that 1 year after sword cutting, there's nothing there. What motivates sword cutting? Okay. Why would you cut a sword?
Right, I'll come. In fact, talking about law, I have done some search into what is happening. I was part of the 7th Parliament. We approved a facility that was going to use an EPC, engineering procurement contract, to build this Lawan. Because I was part of the Parliament that approved the facility, I know that usually it is on the back. In answer to your question, it is on the back of that. When you've secured a facility, gone to Parliament, have the approval. And I suggest that you've also had some work, because most approvals after that, there are things you have to do to finally get the facility transferred into an account that would allow the construction to start. It is when governments have done all this that normally they can go and cut salt, especially when site and everything has been decided on.
So what then will explain why?
The Lawan.
Yes.
The Lawan, for example, when I did my checks, apparently when the facility is secured, and then Parliament approves, there are some insurance. I mean, you might know more of the, the arrangements. Ghana had to pay some insurance or deposit or some insurance to allow the release of the funds. Apparently, we're not on the same page on the insurance matters. I learned there was difficulty on the procedure that has to do with letting the funds come. And thankfully, Finance Ministry has resolved that problem. So, because I also talked to Health Minister, and he said that was the problem they were having. It was Minister of Health, okay. It had to do with an insurance or something that we worked on for Finance Ministry. So now that
maybe double check just in case.
Okay.
Why just in case it was
in fact, I've heard from many quarters people expressing worry. You know, I worked in La General myself, so
and the Eastern Region one too.
Yes.
Same insurance.
Well, I'll not mention insurance, but once a facility has been approved by Parliament, the state has gotten approval. Once you don't see the realization, the release for work to start, then it will have to do with some post-approval processes. And
why don't you finish all and have a contractor on site and then go and cut the sword?
Randy, you see, that one too, I think it's, I'll not say convention.
Well, you know, you in Parliament, you have the experience of, I mean, there are many things that are approved in Parliament that sometimes don't even see the light of the day. So you cannot, on the basis of an approval, then go and cut the sword.
Randy, it's maybe I might say either cultural or convention. You know, over the years, once government secures approval, even before you come to Parliament with the document, you'd have gone through a lot of engagements and pre-work. So finally, if the approval comes, it is seen as 95-96% a green signal. You know, but some of these hitches do appear, and I'm hoping that when finally work starts at these places, those who have been showing serious pessimism will not vanish. Suddenly, they would at least appreciate that finally. I have strong faith that, I mean, these projects will come up. I mean, there's no way a government will bring down an old structure that is posing danger to the lives of health workers if it's not 100% sure that it has what it takes to raise a new one. Staff of Noguchi, you know, on the frontiers matter, I think I've said it here before that the COVID-19 task force, which I belong, normally sets the parameters that must be achieved in every intervention. But the agency of the state that will deal with that intervention is the one that does the execution. And Ghana Airport Company Limited is the one that more or less went into an agreement with Frontiers. So honestly, I think as politicians, DG is speaking as a lawyer, but I know that sometimes the politics in him also emerges strongly. I'm coming. Like this time, where he says that President Kubado has given a contract to his friend and all that. But if you go on the records, I mean, the company is registered here and all that. You don't see a place where they say this is a Kubado.
Is there a company registered where?
The company, the Frontiers company, is a company that is incorporated in Ghana. There's no way they can work if you are not incorporated here. So the point I'm making is that for him to say,
have you checked on the company?
Oh, Randy.
Okay, so maybe just a little 30 seconds on the incorporation. So what happens is that Peter's family is registered offshore.
Yes.
And they incorporated it here.
Yes. All right. The offshore company incorporated the company.
Yeah. So I'm saying that it's a company that, at least if you want details of them from Registrar General's Department, you will get. And I don't think, a document will say that as part of maybe shareholding or the Ekufado's friend or something. But you see,
like I said, looking for that.
Oh, but he said that here. That's what I'm saying, that the politician.
He didn't say that the president was a shareholder.
Oh no, he's saying that the president gave the contract to his friend.
Yes.
And I'm saying that none of the documents from the Registrar General would be saying that.
No,
but Randy, otherwise, I can also come and sit here. That's what I'm saying. The politician in came as a lawyer.
But look, if you were to give my company a contract, there will be no document that says that Okobo is right.
But Randy, what if I'm saying that?
But if somebody says that Okobo gave Randy the contract because he's his friend,
right? But in this case, really,
let's not waste time. Let's move on.
Okay, Randy. So the how do you call it? Then I have something. Where he talked about profits and all that. I think really because states or countries in carrying out interventions work with private sector. Just like in this pandemic, if anybody calls for audit, that is fair and appropriate. But we should remember that in this pandemic, there are companies that have made huge profits. There are companies too that have suffered. I mean, I don't want to say that is how sometimes the world operates, but if you look at Amazon and Zoom and the rest, their share, in fact, their wealth has in some cases quadrupled, whilst airlines are virtually on the verge of collapse.
Dr. Okuboy, there's this joke online when Jeff Bezos decided to go to space. They then indicated that about 190,000 of his workers have signed a petition that he should not be allowed back into this Earth space, simply because during the pandemic he's made so much money, but he's not willing to increase the wages of the workers of Amazon. That joke online, but you can proceed.
Well, so Randy, so that's it. So I don't know whether to say fortunately or unfortunately, but there are entities that by virtue of where they operate, this pandemic has more or less facilitated their fortunes, whereas others have suffered. So an audit would give us, like he's saying, a very unbiased information on.
So you support the call for a forensic audit into COVID-specific expenditure?
Randy, you see, but even the call, I don't want to say it is what's the word? The English word for I don't want to say unnecessary, but it's something that is given, because once it's public funds, definitely to be subjected to audits through our state institutions and then to come to Parliament. So I think the word is it redundant, or it's something that you get at the end of the day. So to ask for it is to create the impression that maybe you'll be denied. If it's the case that these are funds that would have been under the table or in the dark, when you call for an audit, that makes a lot of sense. But the point I'm making is that exercise would happen automatically because these are state funds. And then finally, I see the word expose being used by Edwigi. I've also seen some of my brothers and sisters in NDC use it. Like, there's an expose on how much was spent to bring down how do you call it, Ghanaians who were trapped abroad by the word expose. You use the word expose when through your own effort, you've gone to retrieve some information that was being concealed and all that. But here we are. Our brothers you have our brothers in Parliament. They will ask the question, and then a state official will come, a minister will come, give all the facts, and then they will use the same facts and say that, wow, now there's an expose, and it has a connotation of wrongdoing, because obviously if something is being hidden and you find it, then it's like, okay, I've exposed. That's why it is expose. It comes to exposition. So really, I know there is a lot of effort to increase the perception, if not to more or less reinvent it, that there is serious corruption that is going on. Let's be patient. Let's let things go through the process. If the facts come out that things are wrong, why not? I'm happy they say crime doesn't expire. At any time, those things can be reactivated.
All right. Edwigi, Ferguson is sending me a lot of photographs. He insists that I put them out.
Please do. At least one.
No, I need legal advice.
You know, the common law position is that once something.
Please don't do.
Common law position is that once something has the necessary quality of confidence, it should be kept as such.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes. Okay. Let's move on to the Ghanaian economy.
This one, that's Okuboy's field. The way the man can switch
the medical
from Kotoko to House of Folk.
From House to Kotoko and back to House. Okay. So, Daily Post. Ghana's economic indicators worse today than when we were declared HIPIC. Dr. Atu Fosin. And the Daily Graphic says, economy, fastest growing president. And the Business and Financial Times says, Bank of Ghana keeps policy rate over increasing debt stock and inflation. So, we'll start off with the Daily Post, where the ranking member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, Dr. Castle, Atufosin has disclosed that Ghana's current economic indicators are worse today than they were when the nation was declared HIPIC in 2001. He said although the country has not been declared HIPIC by the Bretton Woods institutions, the current debt sustainability indicators clearly show that Ghana is a heavily indebted poor country. According to the lawmaker, the current deplorable state of the economy, which has witnessed an escalation in the suffering of the Ghanaian populace, is as a result of mismanagement by the Akufo-Addo government and not the COVID-19 pandemic, as the government has led many to believe. Speaking on Monday at an NDC ranking members forum dubbed the Policy Dialogue on the Economy at the UPSC Auditorium in Accra, the Member of Parliament for Jumako Enyam disclosed that as bad as the situation was, it was going to get worse because government plans to borrow even more in 2021. Quote, the IMF debt sustainability analysis in 2019 put Ghana at high risk of debt distress. This was before COVID-19. The situation worsened by the end of 2020 with the planned borrowings. In 2021, the situation is likely to deteriorate further. Expressing worry over the development, the ranking member urged that the Akufo-Addo government must be bold to tell the Ghanaian public the truth that the economy has been driven into a ditch and will require urgent fiscal measures to pull out of the ditch. He warned that failure by the Akufo-Addo government to do as recommended within the next 18 months would expose Ghana to a high risk of default on its debt service obligations, which will plunge the country into much deeper economic crisis. The database engagement brought together representatives from civil society, the media, academia, and others. And so that's where it showed that currently our debt to GDP is 76.6% because the public debt has hit 332 billion. And the fact that the Akufo-Addo government is responsible for 60% of the entire debt of this country.
Randy.
I'm not done.
Okay.
Now, on page 16 of the Ghanaian Times, Yauchi and Jonathan Donko reports that okay, so they're actually quoting the president. Okay, but well, the story really here has to do with the SOEs and others. Let me just check the graphic one. So Donald Atuda reports that Fitch Rating Agency has projected Ghana to be the fastest growing economy in Sub-Saharan Africa as it emerges strongly from the COVID-19 pandemic. President Akufo-Addo has noted. The agency also projects that the economy will be restored to its previous position before the onset of a pandemic. And President Akufo-Addo announced this in Accra yesterday at the performance contract signing ceremony for state-owned enterprises. Okay. He noted that as the country pursued the Ghana Beyond Aid, it was critical that SOEs worked efficiently to contribute positively towards the attainment of the dream. Okay, so it says that according to Fitch, we will be the fastest growing economy. In today's edition of the Business and Financial Times, page 3, Obedata Eboa reports that the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank has maintained the policy rate at 13.5%. as concerns over rising debt stock and heightened risk to inflation keep dominating the macroeconomic environment. In a press statement released after concluding deliberations on the policy rate, the committee noted that with public debt hitting 76.6% of GDP in May 2021, largely underpinned by revenue underperformance, underline that, it calls for monetary policy response that will signal to the market that government is still committed to ensuring fiscal consolidation. And again, with an uptick in inflation to 7.8% in June from 7.5% the previous month, there's a need for further caution, especially given pressure emanating from the fiscal side. Hence, the decision not to further cut the rate after it did so by 100 basis points last month. Quote, the level of public debt raises debt sustainability concerns, and the committee reiterated the importance and urgency of fiscal consolidation efforts. Greater efficiency in debt management will be required, especially in the face of potential further tightening of global financing conditions, which could heighten rollover risk and access to new financing in the outlook. This calls for strong vigilance and complementarity in fiscal and monetary policies to signal to the markets a strong commitment to consolidation. Headline inflation has eased sharply and reverted within the medium-term target band, driven mainly by the tight monetary policy stance and some base drift effects. The latest forecast remains broadly unchanged, with inflation projected to remain within the band. Okay, so it says the committee's decision does not come as a surprise, as the IMF recently backed the bank to maintain tight fiscal policy should inflationary pressures persist. Okay, so they've also raised some issues about inflation, food inflation, and all that. Yes, Aduji. So the minority says that Ghana's economic indicators today worse than when we were declared HIPIC, and they've done all the analysis, how much we owe, debt to GDP ratio, and all that. The president says that according to Fitch, we'll be the fastest growing economy, and they expect us to bounce back to pre-COVID levels. And the Bank of Ghana has kept the policy rate, and it's over increasing debt stock and inflation. And of course, as I read earlier, revenue underperformance.
You know, Randy, before I even move, you know, one of your brothers, a proud citizen of La, Prince Derek J,
yes,
just signaled me that his last visit to the site of the La General Hospital shows that it's now a football park
for kids.
Okay. And grazing ground for animals.
I'm a prince. I know him from history, so how do you mind him?
Okay, he's your brother, so at least, but that's just by the by. You see, Randy, I have with me the Friday, February 20th, 2015 edition of the Statesman newspaper. And on the front...
The date again?
The date is 20th February.
You say you have with you.
Which year?
No, I mean... Oh, no. No.
Which year?
That's 2015.
2015?
Yes.
Okay.
By electronic evidence, is it admitted in court?
Oh, yes.
Randy?
Now, the law allows it to be...
I admit.
He's the judge.
Let him submit. So that council and also get
No, I know this.
Yes.
I know this front page. Like the back of my hand.
Okay.
So that's when they divided the debts by the population to indicate how much each. Because I remember when I read it, I said, "Oh, I'm prepared to pay for myself and my family. Where should I go and pay it?"
Okay.
And in this edition, I mean, the front page, it says each Ghanaian owes 2,900 Ghana cedis, as Mahama borrows 48 billion to make Ghana HIPIC. And as for the editor of the New Statesman, I mean, that's a relation of President Akufo-Addo, Gabriel Aserecho-Darko.
He's no longer the editor.
Then,
okay.
I mean,
yeah.
Now, if you take, and so I will situate my analysis with this. At that time, the conversation was that we had our public, or the Mahama administration had borrowed 48 billion. And that by reason of that, we had made then Ghana HIPIC. Randy, just a cursory analysis of even our debt profile relative to the various presidents will show that as at the time President Kufuor left office, we had a debt profile of almost 4 billion Ghana cedis. That's why he left. The Mills, when President Mills, by the time he died, we were looking at 26 billion. By the time Mahama left, it was almost 84 billion. The Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration, within these same 4 years, has borrowed a little over 171.22 billion Ghana cedis. Now, in this conversation, relative to the story I indicated earlier, each Ghanaian today, if we have to pay, we'll be paying not less than 12,000 Ghana cedis. Each Ghanaian from 2,000 in 2015, 2,900 in 2015, to 12,000 Ghana cedis in 2021. That is the current state of the economy. And no amount of propaganda can defeat these figures. Incidentally, these figures are coming from the Bank of Ghana under President Akufo-Addo. Now, Randy, if you have a situation where today your public debt is hitting 322 billion Ghana cedis from 122, okay, in 2016 December, 122. Now we are talking about 132 billion from 122.
Yeah, but the economy is also expanded.
No, so I'm coming. The rebase economy.
Yes.
Yes. So that's the point I'm making. That at the time we're having the public debt conversation about 122 billion, the economy had also expanded. However, even with the expanded economy, we are looking at a public debt of, say, 132 against the overall GDP to give us the debt to GDP ratio. At that time, our conversation was that we had a debt to GDP ratio of almost 56%, and that it was a crime. And in the words of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, it was a sign of incompetence. I recall vividly, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia's conversation was that he had worked in the Bank of Ghana before, and that we have a lot of money in this country. And so the problem is about the leaders, the managers of the economy. That is where President Akufo-Addo famously made that statement. Yetisikaso. In a comedy. Na yaye mobo dudu. Na yaye mobo kra dudu. At that time, the whole idea was that how in God's name should a country that is sitting on sika money, people in the country should be suffering. And on top of that, the government then was borrowing. Randy, today, what is our scorecard? From 56%, the current debt to GDP ratio, as we speak, is 76.6%. From the IMF projection, by close of 2021, we should be dealing with 83%. So when you claim you are competent and you provide this scorecard as your performance indicator, then quite clearly your so-called incompetence can only be either a product or media created competence. Because you see, we now have the benefit of your performance. And I recall when President John Dramani Mahama advised then that we should be slow in the criticism, and that when you are manning the vehicle, a lot of things happen. Dr. Bawumia took him to the clinics, attacked him left, right, center. Today, as the chairman of the economic management team, this is where Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has taken this country. But you see, anytime this issue comes out, our friends in the MPP conveniently would say that, oh, it is COVID. It is COVID. Now, at least they start talking about the Mahama administration being the cause. They say it is COVID. But that cannot be true. Because, Randy, as early as 2019, before COVID came to this country, the IMF had already indicated that our debt sustainability analysis, in fact for 2019, already put Ghana at high risk of debt distress. So it is not COVID. You may say that COVID had compounded the problem, but already the economy was already in intensive care. We were struggling, and I remember famously when the NPP approached the World Bank, IMF, for the 1 billion rapid credit disbursement. One of the things they indicated was that without the benefit of that 1 billion, they were going to default on some of our loan repayments. So, regardless of COVID, the economy was already in shambles. Really, the conversation today is, which sector of the Ghanaian economy is really performing today as we speak? The last time I checked, the price of maize, a bag of maize today, is almost 500 Ghana cedis. This has never happened in the history of this country. At the time when government of Ghana claimed that they have engaged in planting for food and jobs, a bag of maize is going for almost 500 Ghana cedis. And some have even suggested that even that 500 cedis is more like the farm gate price. By the time we are done with price of minors, transportation and other analysis, you are almost getting out. 2021 budget statement. Randy, can you imagine that whereas government of Ghana had budgeted 113 billion, that's the overall expenditure for the year, we are looking at tax revenue alone of almost 72 billion Ghana cedis. Of this amount, we are using 35 billion for debt servicing, amortization payments. So, if you are generating revenue of say 72 billion in a year, and out of this, you are going to use 35 billion just to service your public debts, interest payments, amortization, among other things. Then you should know that the economy is in a ditch. It's in a deep, deep, bottomless hole. I remember vividly in one of the lectures, I think the one Baumia did at Central University campus. At that time, the then Minister of State in charge of Education, Professor Yanka, he chaired that particular program also. When he's in his analysis, he said, look, the then Mahama administration was using 9 billion, and I repeat, 9 billion Ghana cedis in debt servicing. And that it was the mark of incompetence. These were the words of Dr. Baumia. That to use 9 billion for your interest payment, amortization, among other things, was unheard of. Today, as chairman of the economic management team, we are using 35 billion from 9 billion. So, I am not surprised that now he's moved from the economy to digital matters. Because, I mean, how are you going to defend these figures? That you criticize 9 billion for debt servicing, and now you are doing 35 billion. So, principally, two line items even 4 in our budget statement: debt servicing, amortization, and emolument alone will take you up. So if you look at the 2021 budget carefully, you notice that the Minister of Finance is saying that he needs to borrow 41 billion Ghana cedis in order to keep the economy floating. Now, if you have an economy that you need to borrow 41 billion Ghana cedis in order to sustain this economy, then we are in a big problem. But you see, in all of this conversation, another troubling development is that there's nothing principally to show for this massive borrowed funds. Nothing to show for. Your agenda 111, I will say attention. It is still under consideration. So you have nothing concrete on the ground. Roads, nothing significant. So you are basically borrowing for consumption. I recall the current deputy minister for finance, she's a lady. Abena. During her vetting, one of the things that she said was
Honorable Abena.
Honorable Abena.
I want to add it.
Sub-Saharan.
Okay. I recall during her vetting, she said, look, of the borrowed funds, we've used some for free SHS. During her vetting, Randy, the current bill for free SHS so far, we all know, it's a little over 7 billion Ghana cedis.
But the finance minister says that.
And if you do the analysis properly, even of the 7 billion, actual, disbursement is a little over 5 billion. So we have arrears of almost 2 billion unpaid.
There is something about the free SHS bill that I'm trying to check. The budget, the media review of the budget, the figure that the finance minister gave for last year, and the figure given today suggests that we have spent some 4 billion within the 1 year. There must be an explanation for that. Good. I'm just trying to
Good.
Because he gave us a figure of 3 point something in the media review last year, and now we're talking some 7 billion. Something must have happened.
Yes. Yeah. Now you see, Randy, so if you pick even the expenditure, it will tell you that the funding for free SHS came principally from our oil. Oil alone had given this government, the Akufo-Addo administration, in excess of 12 billion Ghana cedis. So even granted for the sake of argument, that you spend 7 billion out of the 12 billion from oil on free SHS, all other things put constant. What about the borrowed funds? The huge amount of money you have borrowed, what are you using it for? If today, each Ghanaian is supposed to pay 12,000 Ghana cedis as how much they owe as part of our public debt, what will be the justification for that debt? The massive infrastructure project today that have all been completed are borrowing done under the John Mahama administration. Pokwase interchange, Obechi Bilamte interchange, the funding for the Kumasi Airport Phase 2. All those projects, the Tema, Akosombo, Impakadam railway projects, all these projects had their financing arranged under the Mahama administration. The ones the Akufo-Addo administration has arranged funding for, the Takoradi interchange, the last time I checked, nothing was ongoing. That was just June 4th this year. Nothing was going on. The Tamale interchange, even that one, we are told that the funding is coming from Sino Hydro. The Sino Hydro projects are basically grounded to a halt. Because contrary to government claim, the money had not been forthcoming. And so it has affected projects under the Sino Hydro project as well. So you have a situation where, Randy, your public debt is increasing by the day. However, there is no corresponding either infrastructure-wise or anything. You have not built any market the size of KJTR market. You have not built any meaningful infrastructure. But you have borrowed so much, but very little. The last time I checked in the Bible, they said to whom much is given, much is definitely expected. But it appears the reverse is true for this administration. Nothing meaningful. Meanwhile, they have spent so much. And that is why the minority, led by its ranking member on finance, Dr. Atuforsen, is warning that the Akufo-Addo government, the Bawumia-led economic management team, has basically taken this economy back to HIPIC. And it appears, and you see, what is even more worrying is that, Randy, as we speak, the whole economy is on autopilot. Dr. Bawumia has left the economy. He's dealing with digital matters. Because it is becoming clear that textbook economics sometimes has challenge with practical implementation. Let nobody, so in concluding, let nobody tell us that inflation is single digit. I recall...
It is.
I mean, I'm just saying. I recall when under the Mills Mahama administration, when President Mahama then was the chairman of the economic management team, and we recorded the longest time single-digit inflation. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia conveniently said he was going to Malamata market and that the price of Kinki and others does not reflect the reality of a single-digit economy. Today, with the price of maize, price of foodstuffs skyrocketing, price of cement, basic items, all going off the roof, I would encourage Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to try another Malamata market experiment. At least for economists, we try to go to the source to verify. Let him go back to Malamata market and verify the reality of the so-called single-digit inflation. Then we can have another conversation. Whether he had been candid, having become the chairman of the economic management team. I mean, this Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration is beyond redemption.
Right.
Randy,
Bernard.
you know, listening to APG, you can see that trying to get political power is not easy. You need to.
I remember my days with you at Asempa. You remember me?
I remember. It also reminded me of my days in opposition, where you have to look for one indicator that doesn't look impressive and make sure that you spend the whole day there. That is understandable. Randy, let me quickly say that the NDC, thankfully, it's an alternative that we know very well, that we've experienced, so that if we find ourselves with challenges, the world is facing a very big challenge with this shock, this pandemic. Obviously, if you are considering this alternative as in the NDC, it's important to look at the experience we've had with them before I come to ours. So before, by the grace of God and the mandate of the people, we came into office, we had an economy that was really in some bad shape. Really, it was so bad that the then government under John Dramani Mahama themselves said they went to the IMF to gain some policy credibility. At that time, in fact, post 2012, when JM won the elections in 2012, the spending, the reckless spending was so much that our deficit became very huge. I remember we had about 12.2%. It was the first time in a long while that we had experienced a double-digit deficit, and it continued into 2013. It was so bad that allowances had to be stopped. It was so bad that we found it difficult to pay our obligations for the power sector. Doomsor was raging by 2015, thereabout. It was so bad that public sector employment was more or less frozen. Things were really bad, Randy, and I think that contributed significantly to the massive endorsement that President Akufo-Addo received in the 2016 election. Now, when we came, growth, GDP growth, and whether you like it or not, there are some indicators that you have to look out for to tell how well a country is doing or how bad the country is doing. And I remember growth had gone down to about 3.5, that's GDP growth. I also remember very well the cost of credit was so huge. In fact, people were borrowing at some 33%, 34% from our banks. Policy rate was about 25.5%. Meaning, even the central bank was giving money to these financial institutions at a huge rate. I mean, that was the kind of economy we had. Inflation was in the double-digit, deficit was about 10%. Life was not easy for Ghana. When President Akufo-Addo took over, before COVID, growth went up. In fact, we're doing an average of about 7%. And not only Fitch, but almost all the global financial institutions recognized that Ghana had recovered strongly. In fact, the power sector saw some stabilization, and as we speak, largely this is a country where power is stable. The cost of credit went down. Policy rate from 25.5 as we speak is being pushed further down to about 30.5%. Now, so before the pandemic, fiscal deficit, as in the amount of money we spend beyond what we have, was under 5%. In fact, this is the only government, I don't know about other African governments, that went to parliament to set a law, to pass a bill that would restrict it from being reckless or from spending money it doesn't have beyond a threshold. I mean, these
but
are
reversed it.
I'm coming. But even the law,
Fiscal Responsibility Act.
Sanoma. Why? Because even in Parliament, when we were passing that bill, we knew that economics is a science. There are factors that can push you where you have to go beyond that. So we stated in the law that if we want to go beyond that, we should come back to Parliament, state the reason, and go beyond for a particular period. And the pandemic, as described by many organizations that you can with serious credibility, has been one of the biggest shocks that the world has suffered since World War II. In fact, I just checked did some research, which showed that all the things that help to improve quality of life, like employment, wealth creation, access to healthcare, all have suffered across the world. If you take unemployment, for example, in 2019, the US was having an unemployment rate of 3.7. 2020 went to about 8.9, close to double.
Look, before you go on, do you know that the 5% thing you went to set up in 2018, you did 6.97. In 2019, you did 7.34.
Yes.
Even before COVID set in.
So, how come we set a law? There are those who claim we went beyond it.
Not those who claim.
No,
these are your
doing
figures.
16%.
No, even pre. That's why I gave you the pre-COVID.
You see, the reason why I want to state is that, there were some expenditure items that we said it was below the threshold.
The line items.
Yes. That has been a case with an argument we've made. But let's get. There are others. I'm coming. There are others who have not agreed. The IMF themselves. I remember the last time one opposition member said that we doctored figures. They came out and said no, it was not doctored, and that both were given to us, the figures below and above, and that we recognize that it is when you isolate those figures that you get below 5%. If anybody says that it is above, I think these are matters that must be settled. There are fora where we can settle this. But for now, at least government is honest enough to show that these expenditure items, we put them below because they were not items that were occasioned by us. So I don't want us to divert. But the point I want to make is that at least it's on record that for the first time you have an African government.
Now, why I raise that is that, you see, and I often have this discussion with you, that we're so fascinated about enactments and thumping our chest that we put this in place. But you see, when you make an enactment, it is for a certain effect.
And I get it. But,
if you don't achieve it,
Randy,
you don't keep thumping your chest about that enactment.
But Randy,
you said 5%. You never were able to achieve that 5%. So
Randy,
what's the point?
Randy, you know what? Most governments, especially African governments, if you check the year, the election year, a year before the election, some 12 months, the spending, fiscal behavior becomes very reckless. They spend to try to make some impressions just to cross over the
same
election.
thing.
No, I'm coming. Let's grant it that it was 6% before COVID, and that we went about
not 6, 7, 7 plus, yes.
Obviously, there is a considerable effort to make sure that, because we could have decided to go, let's say 10% like it was in 2016. Fiscal deficit was huge. 2012, it was 12.12. It was double digit again, about 11.1 in 2013. The point I'm making is that this is a government that took a bill to Parliament for it to be restrained in terms of behavior.
Yes, it wasn't restrained.
Oh, Randy, you see, for me, I said we have items that we said were below the line. If we start going to that argument, that's another topic. But if you put those items below the line, we would have met the 5% threshold. But you obviously are taking them above the line. We don't have to.
It's not about me. Even today, how do you calculate them? Today,
but
as we speak.
No, but the point I'm making.
Do you calculate them below or above?
Oh, not,
as we speak today.
Not true. So, as we speak,
yes,
really, nobody, no matter the effort people make, nobody can take away the impact and the shock that the pandemic brings. That's why I'm stating all these global figures. In fact, contraction, only few countries are seeing positive growth. We did 0.4% in 2020. Thankfully, because of the stimulation economy, we are hoping to do 4.7. That's what the president referred to as one of the fastest in Africa. Randy, most countries went into recession. They went below what they were doing before the pandemic. Look, you are in a country where your ports, your harbor is closed. Flights numbers have gone down. Your revenues, about 30 or 40% over the years, come from your ports. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. This is not politics. You know definitely that, and guess what? You find yourself in a situation where you have to even spend more because you have to support vulnerable groups. I mean, another government could have said that, well, if teachers are at home for 6 months and they are not teaching because of the pandemic, well, they should get half their pay. If I'm a teacher and I'm not going to school and I'm at home, and I know my colleagues in private sector are suffering, and I'm giving half my pay, maybe I would have thanked God. But the government didn't do that. The government continued to pay. We have a situation where health workers were told that be exempted from tax. In the pandemic, where your revenues have gone down, you have to exempt others because that is the way you wanted to keep them motivated. So, Randy, as for the impact of the pandemic, no matter how hard they try, you cannot take.
That's one side of looking at it. What about all the things
Randy,
that we got?
See, Randy,
all the monies we got because of the pandemic.
Randy, all Eduji did,
Doc,
of course. Oh,
you see,
but you have to be patient. You spoke about Eduji.
Let's be fair to.
Because in Manibi, Randy. So what Eduji did today was to settle on one indicator. It's like treating a patient. There are things doctors look for. You are looking at the temperature. You are looking at, let's say, the blood pressure. You are looking at, let's say, the heart rate. Eduji has identified, let's say, a blood pressure that is not good and has left every other indicator and has settled on a blood pressure and has given us lecture on the implications of blood. That's what you've done. Look, the debt is true. The debt accumulation has gone up. But you see, to be honest, anyone who's done small economics will tell you, when you give the nominal figure of a debt, you've not done much. In fact, it cannot really be appreciated.
I thought they were doing debt to GDP as a ratio.
No, today what is done is that the Kufuor Bawumia government has accumulated 80 billion. You even asked him, what about the size of the economy? As if they say, what?
No, but the GDP ratio,
right.
Factors size of
you are not writing much today.
I'm writing.
So right.
Your point is.
Right. You know what? It is important to look at
ratio.
Yeah, it's important to look at the debt. Yes, the ratio has gone up. But beyond that, there are other things you look out for. The deficit has gone up, obviously, because of the spending I mentioned. We've gone for debt. Why did we go for the debt? You are trying to close the gap. Your revenues are falling. You have to increase expenditure. You will go for some facilities. Your debt ratio is likely to increase. But Randy, I have a statement of the IMF team. I mean, when they came here to do an assessment of, our situation, and I'm very particularly interested. I think I can send a link, or you might have it already. The IMF Executive Board, their conclusion on 2021 Article 4 consultation.
I have the full report,
right.
not the story.
I'm glad you have. So now these are some of the statements that come up. In the third paragraph, for example, it says that the pandemic had a severe impact on economic activity. Growth slowed down to 0.4% in 2020 from 6.5% in 2019. Food prices spiked and poverty increased. The fiscal deficit, including energy and financial sector costs, worsened to about 15.2%. And all that. It tells us some of the difficulties the pandemic has brought. But let me move to this line, which gives an impression of the future. Directors agree that the monetary policy stance remains broadly appropriate, while noting that tighter policy will be needed if inflationary pressures materialize. Although gross international reserves are relatively high, directors stress the need to guard against erosion of external buffers and remain committed to a flexible exchange rate regime. Directors also encourage authorities to limit monetary financing of the deficit. Directors noted that the financial sector cleanup had made the sector more resilient, but stressed that banks' growing holdings of sovereign debt creates risk and crowds out private sector credit in this regard. They took positive note of ongoing supervisory and regulatory reforms, which are important steps and all that. You go on and on. So, Randy, basically, the shock is global. We've also had our portion of the shock. Once your growth is going down, Randy, what it means is that less opportunities are created for jobs. I don't want to speak too much about achievements in the situation where there are difficulties for businesses. Anyone who is in the cinema space, as you speak, is at home. That person watching Metro will not be so pleased if I start to talk about factories that we've started with Toyota and all that. I mean, I'm conscious of all those things. No, but please stop I think we have to be honest with ourselves to appreciate the difficulties that we've had as a result of the pandemic. I remember when cement prices went up, there were folks who were like, but what is happening? And why won't government? It's true. A government that is reckless with their behavior can push prices upwards when inflation is high. But I'm happy that one of the, spokespersons for the cement company, I will not mention them, came up to say that freight, the price, the amount they pay for freight has more than doubled because apparently, because of the pandemic, operations, the shipping lines have reduced their operations, and China, one country alone, had hijacked a lot of the containers and all that. So they are now paying more than twice the amount they were paying before COVID came. Obviously, these are external factors that are not within our domain. So we will continue to work hard at the economic recovery. As said, the 4.7 at least will make life a little better. We'll continue to make sure that we find a fine balance between restrictions as a result of the virus and allowing people to go about their business. As for my friends, and before I go to EDUG, I will conclude. Let me say that, Randy, I agree and appreciate the fact that when you find yourself in a situation where the money you receive has gone down and you have to spend, there can be a gap. But also, we have to be cautious or careful about how much we add on. So, to have a debt to GDP of 70, more than 70, that is quite, that can put
the IMF projects that will go beyond 80 by the
end. Around it. So I'm
the
sure
76 is as at May.
Yeah. And I'm sure. I mean, my economics is not near where you are or where Ken and his people are.
No.
Which
This
allow
one,
me.
you know it.
Please allow me. You
understand the economy. Speak to it.
I'm addressing the doctor. That's why I'm taking my time. So, Randy, the point I want to make is that with my limited knowledge on economics, I even appreciate the fact that you can't add infinitum. You can't continue to.
Will you be attending Kweku Baku's class?
In fact, I think we are in a similar class.
When he starts with his limited knowledge of something,
yes,
and he will show advanced knowledge.
Ready. So the point I want to make is that I think the finance guys know that we have to find a very fine balance.
Do you know what I've been doing these days?
Yeah.
I've gone back to the Dr. Bawumia lecture, the one President Kufuor chaired, on the debt sustainability, and I've been reading it line by line.
Yes.
You know, and juxtaposing it to current, just trying to understand.
No, Randy. I mean,
I'll make a presentation one of these days. On that.
Randy, you know, in fact,
I'm taking it line by line.
You know, the one interesting thing is that comparisons are well made when you have a situation you are looking at and what can be done as in the alternative. And I guess what is difficult in our situation, what would have been fantastic, is if you had, let's say, an alternative government, also having had, I'm not praying they get COVID, having had a shock.
I even want to use 2019, not even 2020 or 2021. I use 2019 to do it.
Yeah. But Randy, the point I want to make is that, yes, I know the finance guys are aware that, yes, even if you have to borrow to close certain gaps, we must find some limit, a fine balance, so that the whole that is created, because you got to engage in recovery again, start to go on your fiscal consolidation measures. But like the IMF said, you also ought to be very careful about vulnerable groups. So in trying to reduce your expenditure, if you cut your payments to LEAP, and let's say cut your payments to maybe other groups, you can slow down growth. So Randy, as for the NDC, I'm glad that they engaged in some form of intellectual discussion to try and look at the issues. That's the way we should go as a country. Unfortunately, they identified one indicator which was not too impressive, and they slept by the indicator, spent the whole day. And as we speak, they've not gotten away from that indicator. Edwin will not talk about the cost of borrowing. I mean, the policy rate, you will not talk about.
But Dr. Bawumia had a lecture in 2016
on debt,
specifically on debt sustainability.
Oh, Randy, but if you ask
what is wrong with
Randy, if you ask,
because that sustainability is a big issue by itself.
There is a particular behavior you can engage in, which defies your own, former position or your position. But the next question one should ask is that, are there any factors that have necessitated that?
No.
Oh, what do you mean? I've just read to you the shock that the whole global economy.
But in 2016, the Ghanaian economy suffered shock. What happened to crude oil price?
You can't compare the you can't compare the shock.
If you go to Parliament,
I'm coming.
And your budget, you project that crude oil prices will be, say, $90, and it falls to, say, $30. That's significant shock. Even more than COVID.
See, okay. This
when COVID came, at least we had the benefit of $200 million from the stabilization fund, which cushioned this economy. No government has had this benefit.
I'm happy that you talk about
provide fiscal space.
Your 2016 shock. I'm happy you are talking about a drop in prices. Yours is a drop. We are talking about a total. There was stoppage. There was a halt.
For just 21 days.
When oil production
is 21 days.
When oil production stops for 21 days.
The economy was already in ICU.
Oh, but you see, this is your ICU usage. When you gave us an economy that had to be presented to a consultant, not a medical consultant, but a financial consultant, IMF, to help you gain some credibility. An economy that was growing at 3.6.
You went for 1 billion rapid investment. I'm saying that you went for 1 billion rapid investment.
You spoke for about 20
No. I'm just telling you that.
You spoke about
this same IMF consultant.
Yeah,
you went for 1 billion
next week.
Oh, how can we continue this next week?
Our time is up.
Maybe. There's this famous attribute by Dr. Bawumia. He says in 7 years, NDC borrowed 70 billion. That could build 1,000 142 factories.
Energy.
Today,
Energy.
you have borrowed so much.
Right. But you're still at the debt stage. You have next GMG tax.
The search for a reliable partner indeed professionally dealt in the sale of U-turn buses, genuine spare parts, its repairs and maintenance at a highly effective workshop with remarkable speed. We also have available the sale of Camel car batteries, Weichai and Kia spare parts, Zonton coaches and light duty vehicles for everyday movement. Contact us on 020 000 0831 or 054 555 7500. You can also email us info@saautomobilegh.com or visit our website at www.saautomobilegh.com. SA Automobile, the pleasure of doing business with you is all ours.
Welcome wherever you are on Planet Football.
You can go anywhere in the world, but nobody feels football like we do.
There's no feeling like that feeling.
It's a rhythm that moves us.
A wild celebration.
The 90 hours banter before the 90-minute game.
Tony is very lucky that his father is a better person than Ole.
It's football or nothing.
Had a look, had a hit. Oh! What a finish.
Football. Le football.
Soccer.
Goal of a lifetime.
Ballon Gafa.
Splendid football. But the champagne on ice. Not done yet.
Nothing beats that.
Nothing compares to DSTV's unbeatable football offering. So stay connected to watch the best football on the planet.
Are you tired as a consumer in Ghana when it comes to issues that confront you as a consumer? Worry no more. Coffee Capital. I'm here to give you the information, all that you need to make sure that your right is protected as a consumer. We have too many laws and agencies that should protect the right of the consumer. I'm here to give you the information that will help and assist you to get goods and services delivered to you without any worries. Watch the Capito Show on Metro TV.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Shows brought to you in kind partnership with X Natural Mineral Water. And it's time for what is trending. And Desmond is here with me. Good morning, Desmond.
Good morning, Dr. Abi.
How was the fufu joint?
I knew that was going to come up. I knew it was going to come up. It was good. You know,
It was good.
Yeah.
So you went to the fufu?
Also, we went on Sundays after church. We just get there and just do our thing before I come to work on Sunday. So yeah, it was okay. I hope you had a great weekend.
Something before the fufu or straight?
Look, please, I'm here for trends. Anyways, let's get into the trends this morning. And my name is Desmond Okrekudanzo, bringing to you everything happening on social media, on Twitter. And we started with the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. He's trending on Twitter this morning. He started trending yesterday after, the forum where Dr. K.C. Atufosin spoke about, the country's economy. And people have been talking about that. And you see the tweet on your screen very soon. So at that particular forum, he actually spoke about the economic situation of the country. So lots of people have been talking about the economy. That Dr. Baumia said he was going to arrest the city and all of that. But now the city is flying. It is around 6 cities now. I mean the dollar, beg your pardon. It is around 6 cities now. So you see the trends. What people are saying on Twitter. This one says the way this country is going. If I don't eat banku and pepper this morning, I'll try tea. I may fall like the city. My fundamentals make weak, but pass Dr. Mahmoud Bamiya in exchange rate. Hashtag fix the country. That's also there. This one from Kente Safo says, congratulations to President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Dr. Bamiya. They have chalked another unprecedented feat. The city has crossed the 6 city mark against the dollar. Clap for them. I'm sure they are very proud of themselves. Oh, Charlie. So that's what people are saying on Twitter. So you see all of them there. This one says that $1 is now 6 cities. Hey, so Bamiya still no arrest the dollar. That's a question that he's asking, and you could see the retweets, the people talking about that on social media. So a whole lot of them. This one also says that 60% of Ghana's total debt from independence has been borrowed by the Akufo-Addo Bamiya government. Simply out of every 100 Ghana city owes 60. Okay, so I'm going to try and get that one well, but you see all of them, the tweets on Bamiya this morning on social media, people talking about the economy, that the dollar is now 6 cities. This one says that when Anado and Bamiya day, it's been 5 years, still they don't arrest the dollar. Now the thing catch 6 cities. So all of them on Twitter, Dr. Abi. I mean, this one, I know we're talking about the economy and all of that. Now the dollar is somewhere like that.
It broke jail. Yeah, it was Dr. Bamiya said he had arrested it and given the key to the IGP. Oh. Unfortunately, the then IGP couldn't keep the dollar simply broke jail, and we still can't find it. So I think Dr. Bamiya must go arrest the dollar again.
Anyways, so now 6 cities, right?
The dollar must be put on the Interpol list.
Interpol list, yes.
It would be wherever it is, it must be arrested.
So that it would be arrested. Anyway, so people are talking about that, and hopefully we're going to get it come down. Let's pray and hope so that. I mean, we don't even want to talk about the pounds because the pound is somewhere.
The pound is 8 something.
8 something. Hey, right.
Euro is 7 something.
Anyways, so well, let's continue and talk about this beautiful thing.
You're paid in dollars, so you should be fine.
Of course, I should be fine. Yeah, those abroad send us the no coffee or if you think do something. Anyways, let's talk about the University of Ghana because the council there has appointed Professor Nana Abba Apia Amfo as the acting Vice Chancellor of the university, and she's going to take over from the Vice Chancellor now, Professor Ebenezer Odro Owusu, and her appointment as the acting Vice Chancellor takes effect from 1st August 2021, and she'll be acting as the Vice Chancellor of the university until the appointment of a substantive one. And until her appointment, she was the Pro-Vice Chancellor with responsibility for academic and student affairs of the university. And you know that Professor Jenan Opoku-Agyemang from UCC, she was VC, and then now you have Professor Rita Akosua Dixon as the Vice Chancellor for KNUST. So this is good news, and people have been talking about that on Twitter. Adam Agbana says that gender distribution of University of Ghana's current management, Council of Chair Sophia Akufu, Chancellor Mrs. Mary Chinri Hesse, Acting VC Professor Nana Abba Apia Amfo that I'm talking about, and Registrar Mercy Hazel Ashia. So UG we brag different, power to our women. Anyways, UCC we brag on a different level. So anyways, let's move on to the other. This one says that she should be good to ask and encourage them to choose a female another time through her works. Congratulations, Professor Nana Abba Apia. For very young, she is not 50 years, and people are talking about the fact that there's a good thing for women to also get into such positions. This one says, congratulations, Professor Nanaba Apia, acting Vice Chancellor UG, first female to be appointed to that position in the 73 years history of the University of Ghana, and she is certainly going to open the doors for other female academics. And Doc, this is a really, really good thing. Coming in.
They should just confirm her. I don't like this acting. This particular appointment has been shrouded in some controversy with a search committee, accusations and counter accusations and all that. But I think that they should just confirm her. I mean, let's move on and stop this acting thing. But I find it intriguing that in 73 years, the University of Ghana has never had a female vice chancellor. That's serious. That's really serious.
Yeah, and that's why the praises on Twitter like that, having her come in, to be the Vice Chancellor for the very first time, a woman, getting into that position. So you see the tweet on your screen, people applauding her as she gets into that office. And so we've had a professor, like I mentioned earlier, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, UCC, she was the Vice Chancellor, and then now you have KNUST, a female Vice Chancellor, University of Ghana, another female Vice Chancellor acting. And as Doc said, you should just give it to her. So that the acting thing would move. Anyway, so let's move and talk about Varane. If you're a football fan, and especially if you're a Manchester United fan, I don't like United, but I don't know what this is going to do to them. But they have actually agreed a fee with Real Madrid and French defender Rafael Varane, and the price is around 41 million pounds, and that includes add-ons, and the deal is set to go through. And this could be a good one for Manchester United after Jadon Sancho was announced last week for 73 million euros actually, and so that was from Borussia Dortmund. And Real Madrid, they've lost Sergio Ramos, they've lost they are losing